Hey friends, it is Roxanne Foster, the mom of the Foster's 5, and I'm here today to talk about Disney, which is one of our favorite places ever, and probably one of the more overwhelming places that I have my friends ask me questions about. Anytime someone comes to me with questions about Disney, they're just always super overwhelmed, super flabbergasted. There's a million things to read about. Where are you going to stay? What are you going to eat? Are you going to do the dining plan or not? How many days do you need? Which parks are you going to go to? But I'm here to break it down. This is a very, very basic guide. I will have a ton more information about Disney coming for you soon. Some of the acronyms, some of the basics. Start here, feel like you have a solid foundation about Disney and able to start making decisions for your Disney trip. The first thing I want to talk about is what age to take your kids to Disney. People ask this question a lot, and I have a couple different answers. So the first thing is this the one and done trip? You are only going to go one time. That's all you're going to be able to make happen for your family, or that's all you want to do. If that is the case, I absolutely agree. Wait until they're older and they can remember it. Wait until the youngest is at least 6, I would say, and then go from there. If you're gonna do this more than once, then any age is the right age for Disney, and I'm not making any money off of telling you this. I just fully believe it. The youngest age we've taken a child to Disney is 6 months, and they had so much fun. I mean, we have the best pictures of them. They napped. They were easy to handle. They loved interacting with the characters. I think the best age for character interaction is 18 months to about 4. It's just so much fun. So those younger ages are absolutely worth it. And not to mention, children under 3 are free at Disney. So your costs go down exponentially when you go with younger kids. So there's my blanket answer for that. So let's get started talking about Disney. So it's definitely overwhelming, and part of that is because of all of the acronyms used. And I swear, I'm not sure there's another vacation destination that uses as many acronyms as Disney. So I'm gonna briefly go over what all of those are. I have a blog post about this, but I'm just gonna at least briefly touch on what all of these things are. So FP is a fast pass. For the video's sake, I won't be using these acronyms, but a fast pass is something that allows you to skip to the front of the line. Every guest that purchases a ticket is allowed 3 of those a day. There's a lot of confusion about this. People think you have to pay for them. People think only people that stay on site get them. No. Everyone that purchases a ticket to get into the parks gets this fast pass. You get 3 fast passes a day. Once you've used your 3 fast passes, then you're able to get another one. Once you use that one, you can get another one. You can do that over and over again. We'll talk more about that later. Animal Kingdom, AK, is one of the 4 parks. So there are 4 Disney parks. You have Magic Kingdom, Animal Kingdom, Epcot, and Hollywood Studios. These are the 4 Disney theme parks. They do also have water parks. You won't ever hear me talk about those because I've never been. It is just not my preferred way to spend time at Disney. I want to be at the theme parks, and I'm just not a huge water park fan anyway, so I don't ever speak on them. People that go love them, but that's just not something my family does. Quick service and table service. So you'll see QS and TS. So on the Disney dining plan, you get table service credits, quick service credits, and snack credits, depending on which plan you buy. The cheapest one does not give you table service credits. So table service credits, I like to think of them as sit-down reservation restaurants, the kind of place that you would need a reservation for. That is a table service restaurant at Disney. They're generally more expensive. They're definitely a sit-down meal. They don't have dress codes except for a couple of the signature dining places. And then quick service, fast food. That's what those places are. They're the fast food restaurants of Disney. Don't be put off by that. There are several really good fast food places at Disney, but quick service and table service is the language that they use. BBB is Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. This is an add-on extra thing that you pay extra for. It's super fun. They dress the girls up like princesses, do their hair up like princesses, the fairy godmothers who takes care of them. It's a super fun event. We've done it once and we did the cheapest package and that worked really well for us. AH is after hours. So Disney will have these events that they'll do now that are ticketed events that you pay for to stay longer afterwards. And then they also have extra magic hours, so EMH. Those can happen in the morning or in the evening. That's for people that are staying on site only. So they get to go into the park either an hour earlier, or they get to stay in the park sometimes up to 2 hours longer than everyone else who is staying off-site. It's a really great perk of staying on site. Early morning magic, I don't know why they called these things so similar. So you've got extra magic hours in the morning. That's a free thing that's for the people that stay on site. And then early morning magic is a new ticketed event at Hollywood Studios in the Toy Story area and at Magic Kingdom in the Fantasyland area. You pay a pretty penny for those. They're paid per person. They come with a breakfast meal, and you get to go to the parks several hours before they open and ride a ton of rides. My family is actually doing this one at the Toy Story area in Hollywood Studios on our trip in just a couple weeks. So I'll be able to report back on that and if I think it's worth it or not. We're doing it now because Declan is still under 3 and therefore free. So we did not have to pay for 5 tickets. And then MM is the memory maker. This is something that you purchase on top of whatever package you choose. And it is all throughout the park. There are photographers set up in different areas and they'll take photos for you, and you have those photos, you have access to those photos to download them. Or they have on certain rides, they'll snap your photo at certain spots on that ride and you get access to all those photos. It's a really neat thing. We are annual pass holders this year and the memory maker comes with that, which it's about $160, I believe is the new updated price. So the annual pass, we're going 4 times this year. So that alone saved us $600, which is fantastic. Okay, so that's just some of the basics and some of the acronyms. We're gonna move into just some minor details about setting up a firm foundation for a Disney trip. So first things first, have a plan. I know that I say this a lot on all of my vacations, but I could not mean that more than I do on a Disney vacation. Gone are the days of showing up at the park, doing what you want and going home. It just doesn't exist anymore. You have to have at least a general idea of the things you want to accomplish on the trip, places you want to eat, and what you want to see, because the park is crowded all the time. Disney is a business. Their job is to make money and they want to fill the parks every day of the year, right? That's just common sense business practice. And that's what they're doing, and they're exceeding. So they are filling up those dead areas. There are still a couple better times of year to go to than others, but their goal is to always be busy. And if that's the case, that means you've got to be prepared. You don't want to find yourself sitting in a 50-minute line for Dumbo when if you would just go ride that first thing in the morning, you don't wait longer than 20 minutes. I mean, there's just small little plans that you can make that save you so much time. And when you're spending several $1,000s on a vacation, that time adds up. Nobody wants to sit in line for hours and hours. I've had friends go without a plan and come home and say, that was miserable. I hated it. Disney World is terrible. So I'll say, well, what rides did you ride? They didn't take advantage of their fast passes. They stood in lines, long lines all day long, and they barely rode 3 or 4 rides a day. I would feel the same way that they felt. A plan is necessary. There are tons of tools out there, super helpful, lots of information. I would love to help you on this. I know plenty of people who have this knowledge, so just have a plan. As far as a timeline to plan, this gets a little bit tricky. The actual deadlines that I like to tell people is that you're allowed to book your dining reservations 180 days out. So if dining is really important to you and getting to eat at certain restaurants is important to you, then you absolutely want to plan your trip further than 180 days out. Because at that 180 day mark, a lot of the popular restaurants are going to be snagged up and you won't be able to find reservations for them after that mark. So if some of those are important to you, absolutely you have to do it by then. If you're staying on site, you get to book your fast passes 60 days out from the start of your trip. So if your trip starts March 1st, 60 days before that, before March 1st, you get to plan your fast passes for your whole trip. Okay, so that's super important. You don't want to miss that 60-day mark. Absolutely, after that day, you won't be able to find a Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, a Slinky Dog Dash roller coaster, Soarin', maybe Soarin'. You wouldn't be able to get the Frozen at Epcot. There are certain fast passes that'll be gone after that 60-day mark. Sometimes random ones will pop up. I'm going to give a caveat that, of course, some people have snagged those last minute, but you have to be working hard for that, and you have to know what you're doing. So FastPass is booked 60 days out if you're staying on site. If you're staying off site, FastPasses are booked 30 days out. So I would say absolutely do not try to plan a trip in like 29 days unless you're perfectly fine with missing several rides and not having certain dining reservations. Just lower those expectations and absolutely plan a last minute trip. Otherwise, 30 days, 60 days, and 180 days, those are when I would say you definitely want to be planning further ahead. When to go? Oh my gosh, you will find a million different answers on this subject. We are a partially homeschooling family, so we get to go when we want to go, and we aim to go at lower crowd seasons. That matters to us. So we have really high expectations of what we can accomplish in a day at Disney, and so we always try to go at the lower crowds. Now, that's becoming less and less of a thing. We went in January of this year because everyone said that was the lowest time to go. All of the internet said it was, and it was a lot busier than we expected. It wasn't crazy. We still did everything we wanted to do. We had a great time. We would totally do that again. Except I will say that the weather shocked us on that trip. We were very cold. It was the end of January, beginning of February, and for Florida, it was unseasonably cold. We had to wear coats a lot. And so we probably just wouldn't go that time again just because of the weather. The crowds were great. Summertime is actually not a bad time to go anymore. Everyone used to say that it was, but a lot of times you can find some really great pockets of time where it's a decent time to go. I'm going to show you really quickly what a website called Touring Plans, which is what I use a lot for planning my trips. So you have to pay for a subscription to this, and it's just been my opinion that it's well worth it. They have so much information on here, but what I like to use more than anything is this crowd calendar. Now I'm going to caveat this and say this is not an exact science. They do not get this perfect. I like to contrast mine with multiple other crowd calendars as well, but you're able to go through, and so see, we're going June 8th through June 13th next month, and I was able to kind of check out what the crowd levels are. They're a little higher than I'm used to. They're certainly higher than I typically like, but this helped me because, for example, I planned our Animal Kingdom day on a 5 crowd level day instead of the 6 or 7 crowd level day. I stayed away from the 8 crowd levels because those are just so much higher. So just use this to help me pick which days to go. But as you scroll down, you can see like there are certainly some lower crowd days throughout the summer than there once was. There's some 2s in the middle of July, some 1s, 3s, and that's partly just because it's so hot. But summer is just not a bad time to go anymore. So another great time to go is September. Do you see all these ones? Now, Hollywood Studios is higher here because Galaxy's Edge is opening soon. So my daughter and I are going for a quick trip in September, and we've got great crowd levels on that trip, barring the Galaxy's Edge. Let's see. We've got some decent crowds in October, and then come November, you start seeing those higher holiday crowds. So we're also, see, look at that Thanksgiving week, 10, 10, 10, 10. That's wild. So we're also going with our family in November and December, another good little lull season. This next week would have been even better, but then it starts getting the crazy 8, 9, 10s every single day around Christmas through the New Year's. So when to go is entirely up to you. That's going to be your family's choice to make. Sometimes they run promotions that are absolutely worth taking advantage of. I've just got a lot of opinions on this. I'll probably write a whole blog post about it at some point. So staying on site versus off site. I have a whole pro-con list on the blog post related to this, but I'm just going to briefly touch on some of them. The pros of staying on site are you get to book your fast passes early, and that's a big deal. I mean, there are absolutely fast passes that will not exist at the 30-day mark that you probably want. So it's a huge perk. You get free transfers from MCO Airport to Disney on the Magical Express. So you don't have to worry about renting a car, which is a really big deal. For us, that means we don't have to worry about car seats for our kids. They're not allowed on the Magical Express, and they're not allowed on the buses at the parks either. So we can fly there, not worry about car seats, get on the Magical Express, and immerse ourselves in the Disney World. Free transportation to and from the parks once you're at the parks. So there's bus transportation at every resort. Some of the nicer resorts have boats or monorail options. You get magic bands when you stay on site. So it's like a Disney bracelet that you use. Your fast passes are coded in there so that you just put your band up against the kiosk whenever you get to the line, and they know you've got your fast pass on it. You can pay for everything with the wristband. True story, when I get home from a Disney vacation, I'm at Starbucks like trying to pay for my drink with my wristband that isn't on and doesn't work. So it's a huge bummer when you come back to reality. Every resort has a quick service dining restaurant, so a fast food kind of restaurant. So there's places to eat on site. Every resort has some sort of Disney theme. It has a really great Disney feel. We like to stay at the value resorts because they're much more kid friendly. But all of them have some sort of really fun theming going on. All of them have pools. You can have groceries delivered or Amazon Prime now delivered as well. Just lots of perks for staying on site. The cons of that are it's often expensive. If you're combining that trip with like Universal or the beach, then the price of staying on site, the upcharge that they give you, may not be worth it since you're spending other days elsewhere. If you drive, there's actually a parking fee at every resort now for your car, so that's a bummer. That's a big con. Very few of the Disney resorts accommodate families of 5, and that's a big bummer because we're one. I don't know if you are, but that's something to consider. As our kids get bigger, we'll probably opt to start staying off-site once or twice when we go. So off-site pros, it's often a lot cheaper. Sometimes you can get a full kitchen, which means you're able to cook some of your meals, which saves you a lot of money. There's often not a vehicle fee. If you choose like an Airbnb, then your kids can have their own room if that's important to you. And then offsite cons are obviously you don't get the magic bands, you don't get to book your fast passes at the 60-day mark. You cannot add the Disney dining plan if you stay offsite, and parking can just be a mess. Like driving to the parks and parking at the parks. There's a fee associated with that as well, of course. And you're just parked pretty far away from the park. And at the end of a really long day, it's exhausting to walk all the way back to your car. So this is a choice only you can make. I cannot make this choice for you. I would suggest if you're only going to do it one time, absolutely stay on site. If you're going to do it more than once, play around. Figure out what you like. We are not big moderate or deluxe resort people. We do that differently than others. We just like to stay in a clean room. So the values are perfectly fine for us, but it's a choice you have to make. And I'll have a post coming soon about the different levels, the deluxe, moderate, and value resorts at Disney and how to decide between those as well. So next up is once on site, where do you stay? I'll go into a lot more detail in the blog post, but essentially the value resorts are the more inexpensive resorts. They're much more budget friendly. All of them are also very, very kid themed. As you get into the fancier ones, they are geared a little bit more towards the adults. The value ones are all very larger than life icons, colorful, very kid friendly. And so we actually love the value resorts. So that said, the next step up is the moderate resorts. These are going to be a little bit pricier. These tend to range between $200 to $300 a night. They typically have better pools. A lot of times they might have a table service restaurant as well as a quick service restaurant. And sometimes those moderate ones have different forms of transportation. The gondolas at Disney are opening pretty soon, and those will go to Pop Century and Art of Animation, so even the value will have that option too, but the moderates have a couple other options sometimes. And then the deluxe ones are the fancy ones, and these are expensive. They're typically $500 or more a night. They're also the ones closest to Magic Kingdom. There are several that are on the monorail, which is just a really simple subway kind of system that takes you to the Magic Kingdom. Lots of people like to dog on the values because they're further away from Magic Kingdom, but in reality, they're a lot closer to Animal Kingdom, and they're not that far from Epcot and Hollywood Studios. So it just kind of depends. Some people really think that being close to Magic Kingdom saves a lot of time on their trip, and then that's important. But if you're going to all 4 parks, the Magic Kingdom parks are pretty far from the other ones. So it just kind of depends. All of them are great options. We are staying at our first deluxe resort next month. We rented DVC points, which is something I'll talk about later. And we're so excited to test it out. We'll be walking distance to Magic Kingdom, but we got a great deal. We're paying less than $300 a night on it. We would never spend the $500 plus. On this blog post, I mentioned something to consider is we've rented from David's DVC rental. That's the place where we've done it. This will be our first trip to actually execute, so I'll be able to report back. But so far, everything's gone really smoothly. We feel really comfortable with what we've done. We did it again for our November trip. We'll be staying at the Animal Kingdom Kidani Village. So I'll have more to say then. Okay, so My Disney Experience. I'm going to switch over to the website now and show you what the My Disney Experience is. So anyone can go and create an account with Disney, and I do not believe I'm signed into mine, so I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. But when you go to check it out, actually first I'm going to show you how you can check and price different vacations. So let's say I wanted to go to Disney for 6 days with my 2 kids, and I've got a free kid. Oh, I'm used to putting 3. So I've got a free child who's just 2, and then I've got a 5-year-old. You can go in here and play around with dates. You can play around with resorts, and you can check out what options they've got for deals. A lot of times, if Disney hasn't sold out all their rooms, they're gonna put deals. Like right now, they're doing a summer room offer, making some of these rooms cheaper. It's fantastic. So I typically will go in and I'll select 2 or 3 different places that I want to check out and just compare them. It's just a real easy way to figure out some prices. So that's just an option for you to do. So I'm going to sign into my personal Disney account real quickly so you can see what it looks like once you're logged in. Okay, so on the My Disney Experience, you can go to your profile, your plans, your magic bands. You can link different accounts. So for example, when my family, my mom and brother and sister come with us, I have them link their account to mine and I book all of our fast passes together. There's just a lot that you can do in the My Disney Experience. There's an app on your phone, which is really crucial to have if you're going to the parks, or on the website you can do quite a bit as well. So in here you can see, like, next up for us is we're staying at the Bay Lake Tower at Disney's Contemporary Resort, Saturday, June 8th. And you can go through and see some of our dining reservations. So we love Tusker House. I'll put little reminders in here for me. Finding Nemo is not a fast pass or anything. It's just something I put in so that I don't forget to go. My fast passes aren't showing up right now, which it said something about the system being messed up, so that's not surprising. But so right here you can see our Disney Early Morning Magic tickets. So we actually get to go into the parks at 7 o'clock. We'll get to ride as many rides as we can before they open at 9. And just a trick there is we're going to ride until it gets busy, and then we'll go grab our breakfast, our free breakfast that comes with it. We are not going to waste any precious riding time with eating. So man, it's kind of a bummer you can't see all of my fast passes. Let me see if I can see it if I go into the actual fast pass, which I am just going to go ahead and go in so you can see what that looks like. So this website and the app are really where all of the information lives, and being familiar with this is really crucial. So when it's time to book your fast passes, you're actually able, it's 6 o'clock Central Time, so I think it's 7 o'clock Eastern, is that right? Yes. So I have to wake up at 6 and I come in and I book my fast passes, and I'll talk more about that later. So here are all of our upcoming trips fast passes. We arrive pretty late Saturday. We don't expect to get there until like 3 o'clock. So I went ahead and made 3 fast passes for that day, because why not just walk over to the parks and get to ride some rides without a line? And I got some great fast passes too. You can see I got the Flights of Passage fast pass, which is a really tricky one to get. It's a little later in the evening, which I don't love, but it's still going to be a great time. So yeah, you can always come back here and adjust these, check them out. I'll show you how you add a fast pass. So like I said, I've linked accounts, so I've got all of my family members. So I need to grab the people that I need the fast passes for. Okay, and then next. Oh yeah, Declan's a baby. He doesn't need a fast pass. So there's our family. Let's say, because I'm an annual pass holder, it's going to show me more days than it's showing normal people. So let's say we're going to go on June 27th, and we want to go to Magic Kingdom. So we've got lots of options still. I'm going to go ahead and just go see what's already taken. So it's saying they're already out of 7 Dwarfs. So like I said, those hard to get fast passes go quickly. So the people who woke up early this morning already grabbed all of the Seven Dwarfs fast passes. I think PhilharMagic is actually closed for refurbishment, so that's why it's not there. But right now we could still grab a Pirates of the Caribbean, a Peter Pan, Tinkerbell. There's tons of great ones still available. Out of curiosity, I'm just going to go check out what's still available at Hollywood Studios. Or what's already sold out. Oh, look, right now we could get the Alien Swirls or Toy Story Mania, but the Slinky Dog Dash is already sold out. I keep saying sold out, but you get the gist. So being familiar with the My Disney experience is going to be crucial to having a good trip, especially the app, because when you're in the parks, once you've used your 3 fast passes, like I said, you can get another one. You're going to get that from the app. There are kiosks all throughout the park you could go to get them, but it's just a lot easier to go ahead and get them off of your app. Okay, Magic Band. So I talked a little bit about them already. I'm just going to touch on them really quickly. You can charge things to your room to them. You can pay for anything in the park with that Magic Band, and then you just tab out essentially at the hotel before you leave from your trip. My kids wear theirs as well. It's how we get into the park. It's how we get our fast passes. It's just a really convenient thing to have. And like I said, it comes free if you stay on site. Lots of people personalize theirs. There's a lot of different things you can do with it, but it's not something that you have to have. If you stay off site, they're $15 a piece, and it's not something I would pay for if I was having to pay for it out of pocket. You'll get a card, and if you can keep up with the card, that works just as well. You scan it at the kiosk, you can scan it to pay for things. It works just as well. Okay, to park hopper or not, that is the question. So Disney tickets, you can buy however many day tickets to the parks that you want. Like any good business people, they discount the tickets the more you buy. So they want you at the parks more often because they want your money in those parks. It's a lot cheaper to get 4+ days at the park. So I highly suggest at least 4 days. The cost per day goes down dramatically after 4 days. Park hopper tickets are a lot more expensive. So you can buy 1 day tickets, 1 park day tickets, and there you get into 1 park that day, the whole day. That's it. Park hoppers means you can go to all 4 parks in 1 day if you wanted to. You could start the morning at Magic Kingdom and end the day at Hollywood Studios. It's up to you. We have personally not paid for those before. The only time we did is when we went during free dining. It's a requirement to have park hopper tickets because they're more expensive. See how they get you on free dining. And then we're annual pass holders now, and those come with park hopper tickets. We take advantage of them because we have them, but to just pay out of pocket for them with little kids, we didn't feel like that was necessary. We did better just staying at 1 park the whole day and then going back to our resort at a decent time and resting. This is a personal choice. If you think you can go from park to park and have no problem, go right ahead. Animal Kingdom is off on its own, and so is Magic Kingdom. There are buses that take you in between all 4 parks. And then Hollywood Studios and Epcot are right by each other, and there's a boat ride that takes you between the 2, as well as the bus, I'm pretty sure. But it's like a 20-minute boat ride to get from the park to the other. So that's a fun thing to do as well if you park hop. Okay, dining plan, schmining plan. I have different opinions on the dining plan than most people. My big suggestion here is do the math. You know exactly how much the dining plan will cost for your trip. They break that down for you. So you want to see, what restaurants am I going to go to? What was I going to order at those restaurants? Is it going to be worth it or not? We have purchased the dining plan. We purchased it for our upcoming November trip. And I planned that out, and I've picked specific expensive restaurants. I know where we're going to eat, and I know we're going to save money by doing it that way. But I know way too many people who buy the dining plan because in their opinion, it was nice to have everything paid for in advance. And then they did not even break even. They spent less money than they would have just paying out of pocket. And to that I say, you could pay for it in advance by buying Disney gift cards. Then it's paid for in advance, but you're still saving yourself the money. So just do the math. There's actually a website, and I would have to look it up, where you can, like, it's a dining plan calculator is all I think you would Google, and you can put in, here's where I'm going to eat, here's what we're going to order, here's how many people there are in our party, and it'll tell you if it's worth it or not for your family. It does come with these refillable jugs that you can fill with soda at your resorts restaurants, and that's kind of nice. It's a nice little perk. But otherwise, the main thing is just do the math and make sure it's worth it. So, and you can see even the breakdown for how much they think you're going to spend on snacks, quick service, and table service. So you can kind of make sure you're going to do it well. Something that we do is kids on the dining plan are not limited to buying only off of the kid menu. So often we will buy them an adult item, so then there's more food for them to share, and we feel like we're getting our money's worth. Just something to consider. Okay, so I already went through Fast Passes quite a bit whenever I was showing you how we do it on the website, but I'm gonna go with just a few other perks and tips about that. So something that I always aim to do is I book all of my Fast Passes before noon. We always get to the park at rope drop because it's just not as busy at rope drop. And so we get on a lot of rides during that time. It starts to get busy around 10 o'clock. And so normally I will make my first Fast Pass be 9 to 10, then have it 10 to 11, and 11 to 12. So you get an hour window on that Fast Pass, and they'll give you 5 minutes before and 5 minutes after as leeway. So I won't go do my 9 to 10 Fast Pass until closer to 10, after the park starts getting busy. And then I'll go do my 10 to 11 one, and then I'll do my 11 to 12, and I'll typically try to do that right after 11 so that then I can book another one. So I'll go in and I'll snag another one, and I'll try to snag that one close to the time we're at as well. And I'll just keep doing that over and over. The most I've been able to do in one trip was 9, and that was awesome. So we got to skip the line 9 times and just ride rides over and over and over again. Another important tip is when you're in the app trying to refresh to get a new one, keep refreshing. Go back in, go back in. I have watched them not have a Fast Pass for something I was looking for, go back in, and voila, suddenly it appears. So keep playing around with that if there's one you're really specifically looking for. When it's time to book your Fast Passes, a good strategy is to book the ones that are difficult to get first. So you get to plan your whole trip whenever you sit down at 6 o'clock and you want to go for the Flights of Passage and the Slinky Dog Dash and the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train first. Go make those reservations first and then go fill in the rest of your day with the easier to get Fast Passes. Hopefully that makes sense. The other thing to remember is when you're planning your days and how you're going to do it. Let's say absolutely positively your family wants to ride the Flights of Passage and Animal Kingdom, no question. The best way to make sure you get to do that is to put your Animal Kingdom day at the end of your trip. And here's why. So if your trip is September 1st through September 7th and you are trying to put Animal Kingdom on September 1st, everyone who's showing up the week before you, if their trip extends into yours, they are already able to access September 1st. Does that make sense? So if you stick yours September 6th, you might be one of the first people booking Fast Passes for that day. And odds are you're going to have a better chance of snagging those Fast Passes. Now, I've been able to put Animal Kingdom at the beginning of my trip and still get a Flights of Passage. We have one for our upcoming trip, but it's at like 3:40, which kind of messes up my Fast Passes that day. Animal Kingdom is not a park that I'm very worried about that at. I'm just glad to have the Avatar or the Flights of Passage Fast Pass, so it's fine. But just a little tip from me to you. Okay, how to schedule your day, and this is the last thing I promise. This, of course, there are varying opinions out there. The most dead time at the park is right at the beginning of the morning and right before it shuts down. Those are key times. They're go times. They're the best time to be at the park. And so my family, especially when we stay on site, we don't mind going back to our hotel and resting in the afternoon. That's true now that they're older. When they were younger, we just let them sleep in the strollers. We didn't like the hassle of getting on the bus, getting back to our resort, walking all the way to our resort, walking back to the bus. It just was too much. They just slept in their strollers. So now that they're big enough, we lug them back to the hotel, we rest. Sometimes we swim if that's what they want to do. And then we'll typically just take it easy and then go back in the evening. But those first couple hours of the park opening, they're key. We have been able to, on our last trip in January at Magic Kingdom, before 11 o'clock, we had ridden 12 rides. And I know people who go and don't ride 12 rides in the whole day. So those hours are so key. We highly suggest getting there at rope drop, which is the time that they open. So you would want to be at the park about 30 minutes before rope drop to be able to get through bags and security and allow for bus transportation. So if the park opens at 9, we will normally be at the bus stop at our resort at about 8:10 to allow enough time to get there and be one of the first people there. So a good strategy is to get there early, stay until mid-afternoon, go back to the hotel, and then go back in the evening. So we love that. We do that a lot of times. Sometimes we just stay all day, morning till night, and wear ourselves out. We like that too. If you prefer to sleep in on vacations, that if you're like, this is my vacation, I'm sleeping in, fine. Just know that the afternoons are the busiest times of the day. They can be super chaotic sometimes. So just be prepared for that, lower your expectations, book your fast passes with that in mind, book them during the middle of the day, and then maybe plan to stay late and sleep in again the next day. I personally am someone who needs a paper map to see everything. I need to visualize it. So I've actually had friends grab me maps before my first trip, and then I always bring extra maps home, and I like to look at the park and make a walking plan for our day. We're going to Universal for the very first time in June, and that's exactly what I did. I called Universal and asked for them to give me, send me some maps, and they did. And so now I feel like I have a good feel of the layout of those parks, and I know what to expect. So having a good plan is just everything at Disney. Okay, I will have tons more Disney information coming your way. I consider myself an expert on Disney. We love Disney. We go as often as we can. Like I said, I've linked to my favorite Disney gear, the things that you absolutely want to purchase before you get there. Things like a rain jacket, like a poncho. We like to have those fans during the summer, frog togs that you get wet and put across your neck to help cool you down. An external phone charger. That's a huge thing that's needed that I never would have realized before doing these trips. Just an autograph book. We like to purchase ours ahead of time. Lots of different things that you want to have purchased well in advance of that trip. It also helps cut your costs or feel like you're cutting your costs if you buy them months in advance. So hopefully this helps break down the really confusing and complex things that are Disney World, and I'll be sure to elaborate more as we go. But if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me. I'm here to help. I would love to help you plan your Disney vacation. I'm not a Disney agent, but I am a Disney expert and would be more than happy to give you some travel coaching time and help you feel super prepared for your trip, help you organize it, help you with fast passes. I'm absolutely here to help with that. Be sure to like and subscribe to this video. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Pinterest, and be sure to check the website for new blog posts as they come. We're also on Facebook, of course, as well. So if you guys have any questions, please let us know. Have a great day.